Well, hello there, this is Shiva. I'm going to continue to look at Roxy Raccoon's Pinball Panic. Okay, anyway, we're going to do some things here with the creator. I know the dev has been watching my videos, and so there's a lot of things here that, to bring to his attention. But also, let's just show some of the other things here too as well. Are we actually going to work? Yep, now we are. Okay, that's because I got two monitors and it was still focused on the second monitor. So, first off, we have to talk about some of the presets here. And as you can see, there are some very, very nice presets. This is actually kind of very old school. These I'm not a huge fan of, and I'll tell you why. It's because of these areas right here. Those are really good for kickback. They're not very good for anything else, and of course they're sort of very curved here, so the ball could get stuck and hung up on them. This is actually yeah, as you can see, that's my favorite one, by the way. That's the one that I always, if I was going to use my program, this is the one that I'm going to use. I never liked games like this, and one of the things I've noticed with these presets is you can't actually delete stuff, which is a shame, because that I would really like to go. And it just looks more like one for the ride body. I'm going to show you the ride body soon enough. But let's just do that one. And now let's just put in some note boards. Which one was a good one? One of the things I've noticed is that some of these are actually quite similar to each other, and a couple appear to be duplicates, like that one. See, these two are identical. I think this is actually sort of a placeholder more than anything else. Okay, I did not tell you to do that. So what I want to do is I want to just do it like this. Hit the R, do the other side. Okay, right, so it's a pretty decent start. We're going to put two little guys right here because I want some bouncing going on. The problem with this particular program is the bounce is kind of non-existent, and he also named things a little strange on this one, but we'll get into that. So there's a good start, and I also want to define my top shot first, but I want to show you something here. Go into plungers. What if you don't want this plunger? So and pay very close attention to this guy right here. Gone. Anything that is attached to this or even at the top is automatically deleted whenever you change the plunger, and that's kind of a big problem, because a little design trick is I never put the plunger down first. I usually put it down last if I'm going by a seat of my pants kind of design, because I don't know where the opening of the plunger, I really don't know exactly where I would want to put it. I may have a whole bunch of stuff in here, and then of course this is going to override it, but everything all the way down here, and also anything that's attached to a plunger thing like this. If I put a metal strip across here and then change it, that metal strip is gone. Okay, so it makes things a little tough, and this is a higher one, but I am going to just, oops, that's not the one I want. That's the one I want. The other thing is, one of the things I've noticed, and it's a little hard to explain, but I want, for this kind of game, I want sort of a half, a horseshoe type top for the header portion where the ball comes up, and it's like a sort of a big semicircle. And unfortunately, none of the parts actually conform to that. As you can see, they've got these little curves. So basically what I want is this, but sort of cut in half, and then we could just sort of stretch it a little bit so that it becomes a half, so it just looks a lot better, right? If you notice, it's not really happy with me with doing that. The other thing I've noticed is that sometimes, see, I press the Z key to resize it, and it sort of duplicates the objects and gives me a third one. So I have to kind of delete the entire thing and then start over. As you can see, some of these they're basically the same thing, they're just different sizes. And I also don't really see the need for them if we can resize these a little bit better. And that's not good. Let's put that in the center and let's see if I can't do that. That's about as big as it goes, and that's kind of unfortunate. So we have to build it from scratch, in other words, if we want a proper shot, and we don't actually have an object available for that. As I said, there's no corner pieces. So yeah, that's a bit. So we have to actually just have empty edges here, and you all know me. I can't stand that. I'm just too anal about things like that. So this looks like the right size. Yeah. So we're going to have to do a sort of a shot like that, and then we're going to take the long metal strip, hit R so it goes so it goes 90 like that, and just see if we can resize that across. Now let's hope we can grab this. Okay, so it doesn't look great, but it does work. So what will happen now is the shot will come down, and it will curve all the way down, and then we have to do another one that curves down like this, so that the board doesn't just constantly drain down here or drain down here. So let's fix that. Was that the one I used? Nope, that wasn't. Oh, okay, that is a little different. That's nice. Now, next is we have to take a look at stuff here. See, yeah. The other thing I've noticed with the presets is that they're kind of a little limited in certain areas. For instance, if I put there a little target will go into that gap, but if I try to rotate it, as you can see, it doesn't actually, I can't duplicate the object on this side. I would really like to, I guess what I'm asking for here is, the first thing is to have a flip X kind of thing where you can just basically hit a key and it becomes a mirrored version of this. So I could have identical ones here. I can have one on each side. I still don't really know which ones are good. And as you can see, again, the presets, they don't quite match each other very well, do they? I could do it like that and then put some targets in. There we go. There's two sets for my targets. And this is... this should be a solid side, but out of habit, I always cover up this little gap here. If the ball comes down, it's going to hit that, and it might just sort of bounce weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for another one. Up, there we go. The other thing I've noticed is sometimes it's very hard to get the precise angle because you're messing around with the reel, and as you can see, it just sort of goes down a little bit with the thing. No, I don't like that one. Let's try this one. Come on, Paul, stop messing around. Up, there we go. Nope, I've gone over. The other thing is to do this. My recommendation would be to don't make the camera view so epileptic, for one thing. But the other thing is, it would be nice if we put the thing here and we sort of, wrong gear. If we have a little setting here that allows us to change the rotation on some of the objects, it would make things a lot easier. I'm going to grab you. That's still not quite right. How about this one? I could always just yeah, let's not screw around too much with this, Paul. You're supposed to be showing some of the things that you've noticed, not getting too involved in stuff like that. Okay, we'll leave that one blank. Alright, so as long as I don't change my plunger and change my mind, and I'm going to have a problem right there, you see that? Because if the ball comes in here, it's going to get trapped in here. So guess what? Yep, gotta take this out. Oh, come on, that's just ridiculous. Sometimes when I hold the grab key, it kind of duplicates. And other times it becomes real tough to be able to select an item. There we go. So what you do is you just sort of click on an empty area and then repress the keys, and it does work. Also as well, you need to move everything over so that you don't accidentally delete stuff. So it's just sort of best to just click on the area, grab it until it highlights, change it. So this is one of the things that I was having problems with this game. Was the fact that it constantly destroys stuff if you use the plunger. I'm pretty sure that will be fixed pretty quickly. Click, wait till it highlights, sort of put it like that. There we go. Alright, so now we got a pretty good shot. So as you can see, we've got the bones of our shot, really. That's the Z key. It's not too bad. It's a little noticeable, but nobody's really going to care with that. What about this guy here? I'm going to just change this a little bit. Can I actually... Well, let's put this on edge. Click the thing. Hold the G key, and she sometimes does not... Oh, there it is. It's not highlighting very well with this particular object. There we go. That's better. So anyway, that's what we're looking at right now. In terms of save, template 1. It should tell you it's been saved actually too as well. Hopefully that's saved. If it hasn't saved, oh well, it's not a big loss. I can do this probably once I get a little bit more experience, probably in about 5 minutes. But as you can see, there are some things there that kind of do need some work here. So we're going to go across some of this thing. The big problem that I have with designing, and you know, if you're going to have a pinball builder, you should make it as easy as possible for people to actually build pinball machines with it. One of the biggest things I have is the size of this particular UI. It is huge. It's taken up almost a quarter of my design space, and it's very, very hard to resize or move objects down here. You have to constantly move up, you have to move forward. And on top of that, if you notice, my view is shifting ever so slightly in terms of the angle. But I would actually suggest that, that the UI be split in half, and either have this section up here, so when so if your cursor is up to the top, this section would either appear, or the other way, and the way that I actually prefer is to have it vertical instead of horizontal, so that you can attach it to this to the screen. So all of this would be here, and then this would be here, and then that way you don't cut off nearly a quarter of your design area. So that's the first thing. The other things is sometimes these things are kind of named a little bit strangely. Let's go on to the Q area. Points, which is 1,000, which is fine. It's very hard to fine-tune your points. So maybe a little box where you can just highlight with your cursor and then type in your own points. That would be a bit more useful. I know it's not a great thing for a video game controller, but for people who use mouse, that's just a nice thing. The other thing is bounce force here. I've noticed on a couple of objects that the naming isn't consistent. And the other thing is using the word bounce force as opposed to, say, kicker force or solenoid force or whatever would be a lot better for this, because people say, oh, this is how much it's going to bounce. It's not. It's how much it kicks. And bounce, you're going to need to eventually add bounce controls anyway. So I would just change the name of that to something consistent like solenoid, or kicker force would be just as good. Things like that. Now, what's the other thing here? Duplicate mode. Yeah, let's do this. I am on bumpers. And again, I'm having as I said, the keys are sort of a little on the erratic. I've got T, and it's just doesn't seem to want to do that. So let's just reset that. There we go. There we go. Okay. What I really do like is it does, in fact, keep the settings, which is really, really, really nice. See, it's the same settings. Bounce force, by the way, let's make that to 1. Oh, wow, I did it. Okay. We'll leave that at 99. But as you can see, that would be that would be one area. As to blockers and boards, they're kind of odd shaped. They don't really conform to anything that I'm used to. And people who watch this and developers should understand, I've been basically making pinball machines for a long, long time. I've owned my own arcades. I was an operator, a vendor. I did some wholesaling. I did all of the stuff for video games and for computers. And I just like to make my games look like arcade games. And I understand that the big difference with this program is that it's sort of more like a fantasy pinball type of builder, where the objects are kind of more like, you know, you got stuff like that and you got stuff like that, right? That's understandable. You got that thing there. You've got these massive spin discs. Oh, it is a good way to get rid of everything. That's not really what I do. Okay, so I'm a little anal about stuff like that. But I've noticed that some of these things really are not terribly useful, and there were certain shapes that I would much rather see, like as I said, something like this, but as a with the plastic as a corner bracket. so you can put proper corners on here, all sorts of little things. For instance, I ended up, this is about the only thing that I actually like to use because I don't like the curve in here. If you know your pinball history, and I don't have Photoshop running right now, and I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but if you know your pinball history, how they used to design games back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s before computers was they used cardboard cutouts, real size cardboard cutouts. And if you notice something with the manufacturers, all of their designs were basically standardized, right down to the shape of the plastic, the electronics, where the bulbs go in. Everything was standardized, and they would make certain sections of a pinball machine out of a cardboard cutout, and on the top side would be where all the post locations and the rubbers and everything else was to be placed. And even back then, even the rubber sizes, the little rubber pieces that stretch around posts, they were all standard. It was called, you know, mass production, right? And they would just move these pieces around until they got the pinball shape that they want, and then they would send it off to be produced and manufactured. The artists would get at it and everything else. In fact, these were so standardized that on the backside, underneath it, would have actually all of the draw locations and everything for the electronics, for the switches that would be needed and everything. That's how standardized the pinball industry was. And so it was always the same shapes, and they would just move them around, and there's a pinball machine. That's the reason why some of these guys were producing maybe 5 pinball machines a year. So that's how they did it, and I kind of think that this would be really good for this system too as well, is to have really far more standard shapes. But the problem is they're just not in here yet. As I said, I wanted a corner piece with this kind of curve. That's a pretty standard piece. In fact, there's a half horseshoe that did that right up to here, and then another one that would go like that. As you can see, I've done a small shape here. This is sort of very much like what high speed does. Things like that, you know, I feel that would be very useful. Some of the shapes are okay. Some of the shapes seem to be really kind of placeholders, but we just don't have enough. Not enough to make a really good variety. And because some of these have got really odd shapes, like well, this one is good, but there are some odd shapes here, and they're very hard to sort of fit together unless you do it this way. But if I have like curved shapes, well, what is the matter with my mouse today? See, if you have flat edges, they kind of work really nice, but some of these can be a little curved. So yeah, we just need more of these shapes, and if they sort of fit to more of the arcade kind of sizes and everything else, then yeah, it would make this thing a lot easier to use and a lot quicker to use. And if you're wondering why I like stuff like that, the arcade guys, they've been making machines for 90 years, so they kind of do know exactly what they're doing. Same with edges, I guess, are okay. Again, I would kind of like to be able to do a half size, and you know, you see, this is full, and I can understand that. I've noticed something with these. You see, there's one there. You see, there's the same ones, right? But I can understand why they have different sizes. But you know, I kind of would like the ability to be able to shape these a little bit more, other than just have them as presets, and the best you can do is size them, because the resizing doesn't stretch. But this is only will go up to here, it doesn't re-stretch end to end, and I kind of would like to see those the ability to do that, because that would make things really good. On top of it, this is not really a half circle, this is sort of a quarter of a circle, and you know, things like that. I hope I'm explaining that one properly. I haven't done anything with those. Plungers, yeah, I kind of would like to see them not destroy things. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more variety in the actual design of the flippers. And as to visuals, what does that do again? Yeah, well, you know, there's so many great things here. I like the fact that we have lights now. I would really like to see a round light. And I don't know if we can do that. Can we actually? We can't resize these, can we? That would be really, really nice, because these are actually pretty damn big. Let's see. I don't think we can actually resize these. Nope. We can make a mess of it. There we go. Nope. The other thing is this trash can icon will just delete the levels, but every other one will, the trash can icon deletes individual things. So I kind of would say, I kind of would change that icon. Not yet. I don't want to save this. No, don't want to save it like this. For some strange reason, this is not selectable, so I guess we need... Well, we can... nope, we can't even do that. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to resave this. I'm just going to clear this out. So, let's... you know what? I've forgotten how to do this again. Yeah. Thank you. Let's create a new table. I've already saved my template, so I'm not really care. Now this is the right body, and there are definitely now there are a couple things I've noticed, and some of the things, some of the, as you can see, the plungers. There's only a few plungers in here, so you know, and there are other plungers that would fit. The dimensions of a ride body, by the way, are, you know, from top to down are pretty much the same as that of a standard body. So in terms of mechanics, what the hell is that? Oh, it's that thing. Okay. As you can see, some of the stuff here is the same, but there are some things that we have less of. And so I guess that's okay. Same with the race phrase, we don't need that. Okay, so here's a really nice thing about this is you have flippers that were made in your presets for the ride body, but as you can tell, there's a small bug there. I might as well just show everybody. And you know what? I actually like the set here better than in the standard body for some reason. This, you know, and unfortunately you can't move it, which is unfortunate. But that one's not there. This one, again, you know, I'm not a huge fan of. And again, this one, I kind of would like the ability to move the presets a little bit so that we can get better combinations. And things like this kind of destroys everything because there's no blank image for the plungers. I think that's the best one. The other thing is, I don't understand the difference between what the M means and the A means, but because they all look pretty much identical in terms of shape, so maybe the developer can actually explain that, because I have no idea what's the difference between an M and an A, you know. So, but that's the best you can do with that. You don't have the other ones that will curve up or go all the way up higher or anything else like that. You know, it's not a big deal, but it is kind of a little bit strange considering all of the other stuff in here. And of course, the flippers, not, well, you know, that's just one of those things. It's just a thumbnail thing. But the fact that it goes all the way across, and as you can see, it just doesn't seem to be laid in properly. So maybe this is something that the developer was working on before he did the last update. But that would be one of the things that definitely need doing. The other thing, and just personal preferences, as I said, I'm so used to doing with Future Pinball and Visual Pinball, and I actually really encourage the developer to have a look at how both those programs are used to build tables. There are some, you know, they have 22 years with Visual Pinball, and they've pretty much got it right now. It's very easy, especially in Future Pinball, to build tables and really complex designs. Where everybody of course gets stuck is the scripting and everything else, but there are some really good ideas there for the developer to maybe use, especially with being able to do shapes and stuff. Both Visual Pinball and FP uses primitives as well as models. And primitives are just a great way to build table. You can build some incredible stuff just by using a square primitive and the ability to set the height. And you can use that primitive as a plastic or something else like that. I would say that's a little bit down the road. A lot of the things here that I've been talking about probably will be first on the developers list anyway. But down the road, yeah, have a good look at Future Pinball, have a good look at Visual Pinball if you want, and just see how they do stuff with that. The other thing is, this is Unity. I know that Visual Pinball is supposed to have a new version using Unity, and 2.5 years later, we still haven't heard really all that much about it. In fact, every time somebody's tried to use Unity, it just seems to die for some strange reason. I've seen Pinball Creator on Unity, and it's very much a fantasy pinball game like this, and it has really reasonably good physics, but I don't know, it just didn't seem to do very well. I think this was one of those cases where it was the developer got in the way of the program, of what people wanted it to do. The developer just says, nope, this is exactly the way I want to do it. You paid your money, so too bad. And, you know, that kind of was a little off-putting. But there are some really good things in Pinball Creator. So maybe if the developer has a little bit of spare money, and see if he can still buy it. I believe it's Tropical Studio, I'm not too sure, but it's called Pinball Creator. And just have a good look at it and see what they're doing. The other one, of course, is Pin Builder. This is sort of more my style when it comes to designing games, but you know, I don't know, something's really off with that program with the developers. I really don't know. I reported a game-breaking bug about 2 weeks ago, and also other bugs that prevented me from actually using the logic system for scoring and stuff. Still not in there yet, so they haven't been fixed. And so, you know, I may actually abandon the program, to be honest, if this continues to happen, because you know, I don't want to be waiting 2-3 weeks every time. So on the other hand, this is pretty early, so you have to take that into account. These are just some of the things that I've noticed right off. I thought I'll do a very quick video, and just to show stuff. I still haven't had a lot of time to mess around with this. No, where was that damn key? So, you know, there were all sorts of things that I kind of need to work out. Well, I guess you can delete the level, but it's still a little confusing to me. Yeah, I know. Heavy metal, man. Where's your heavy metal soundtrack? Come on, you can. Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that. Oh, it just changed right back again. Okay. Anyway, I just thought I'll just show off some of the things. Oh, that's just going to bug me until I fix that. Yeah, this is the other thing with the UI, where if the stuff is too low, it's very, very hard to see underneath that. Okay, let's just create a new table. Yes, standard. This one other thing I wanted to show here. Which one was it? I think I've already mentioned this, but having everything like the flippers and stuff. Oh, it's not doing it now. Before, if I went too low, it would sort of flash red and wouldn't even let me put it in there. Now it's doing it. So maybe it's just, is it this guy? Yeah, see, this is what happens. So there seems to be a cutoff along here. I also noticed there's a cutoff along the side here. A lot of objects on the right body, there seems to be a little invisible line that comes across, so you can't move objects right close to the left hand side with the right body. It looks as if, yeah, that was one thing I forgot to mention almost immediately, and I'm sorry. I'll do that right now. That there was problems with that, and that's something that I guess the dev should look. See, I can't move this object anymore, so that's as much as I can do. There seems to be a little invisible line. I think what it is, you know, as somebody that has some experience with some of this stuff, though nowhere near as much as say the developer would have, it just seems that the boundaries, the outer boundaries of the play field may have shifted over, but as you can see, it's the same here. It seems to be a bit smaller. So your actual definition of your boundaries is from here and then up to here, but there's a big gap. So I'm not too sure what is doing that. I don't know if we can actually, can we do that? Might as well. Let's just have a look at the borders. Can we? Nope, we can't do it. So it's just basically a second plunger lane here, but we can't actually put anything in there. If it's part of the presets, I believe it does work very fine. It works fine. See, it does. But with everything else, wow. Yeah, the presets. Well, that one works. That one sort of works, as you can see. But this one is down a little bit, so I would really like to be able to grab those, but I don't think we can, and just move that up. If you can make the presets so that they're grabbable, that would really help everything. Okay, I think I better cut this video short, so I will continue working on this tonight unless something else crops up. You never know. But in the meanwhile, this is Shiva. Hope you all have had a great day, and well, happy pinball. All right, bye-bye.